All right. What's up, guys? Today we have Nita Patel. She's located in Chicago, and I first met Nita at the Sub 2 Mastermind almost a year and a half ago, and I learned a ton from her. So I'm pretty excited to have you on today, Nita, because I remember after the mastermind we went to Pace's house and he interviewed you, and you lit a fire under me. That's the best way to put it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Thank
pretty
you.
motivating.
Thank you for
So
having me on, Dustin.
yeah, no, I'm excited. So. I remember, I'm curious. So it's like 16 months ago, roughly, is October last year. Um, we had the mastermind and then we went to Pace's house. And I remember you're doing a lot of foreclosures. I remember, but you went it deep. Like you liked the crazy foreclosures that it's like you went full blown investigator on, right? Like
Yeah.
you like the ones where it's like the Sudoku puzzle that's level 30. Like the ones that most people just run from, right? Is that the best way to put it?
Yeah, you can say that. Actually, the one that I was trying to stop this morning was kind of complicated too. But a lot of these pre-foreclosures are, complicated, especially if like the homeowner has passed away and you're working with the families. It can be complicated depending on, like how many heirs are involved and if you need to do a guardianship or not, if there's any minors. So it's every scenario, every situation, is different.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember so there's a couple degrees or list stacking you could say, but it's like, okay, foreclosure, but then it's usually there's like a death, I think, is part of your criteria.
Yeah.
And then like it's been no one's lived in it for a long time. If I'm going off pure memory, so and then it's
Yeah.
been abandoned.
Yeah, I try to stack the leads, with multiple pain points, but they're
Mhm.
not all, like stacked with multiple pain points. Like sometimes I'll just do pre-foreclosures with high equity, right? But you do want to go after the ones, where, like someone has passed away, so now it's a probate, and it's vacant. So when they're vacant, it's easier to, get these under contract, right? Because the families have already walked away from them. It's a little, difficult when people are already living in the house because, you have to help them find something or,
Mhm.
they have to find something. So it can take a little time, to close on the house. So I like it when they're vacant.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes sense. I've done one foreclosure and it was very difficult. They because they were also bedridden
Okay.
and it was a lot of moving pieces, but we did it. So I guess compared to, the mastermind last year, are you essentially doing a lot of the same stuff or have you made any recent changes in how you go about things?
As far as the deals, yes, pretty much the same thing, but doing more than what I was doing about a year ago, because I delegated a lot of things. And then, because of Owners Club, I'm also more out there, putting out more content and speaking at meetups. And so, like, I would say, that's the only thing that's different apart from, doing the pre foreclosures.
Yeah. So as you're becoming, owners club, the whole model is or goal is getting out of your business so it can run on its own, essentially. Are you, I'm sure a lot of people contact you all the time. Are you kind of creating like remote teams where you're kind of like consulting for profit in a sense or anything like that?
No, I'm not creating remote teams. So like I'm on the daily dial, right? In sub two on Wednesday morning. So if people have questions, then they bring their questions or deals, on the daily dial. And then I'm also, starting a workshop next month. So I'll have a workshop every few months. I'll probably do like about three a year. So like, and it'll be nationwide, right? Whoever wants to come and learn more, they can come to the workshops. And I'm still not sure if I want to, do the one-on-one coachings because I feel like that just takes up a lot of time and energy, when I can be doing something else in
Yeah.
that time.
Yeah, in the
I mean, I
workshop,
would
it's
love
more,
to, but I feel like my time can be used better somewhere else.
yeah. And then the workshop, it's more like there's no fulfillment after, right? It's just the workshop. It's you're there and then you learn and that's it, right? Like it's not this
Yeah.
12-month thing or anything like that, right?
No, it's not, but I'm offering three free calls after the workshop for people, that need accountability and that need additional help because, you're on your own afterward. Well, you're really not on your own. You can connect with people, that like were at the workshop with you, but you still are going to need additional help. So like after that, I'll see if I want to do like my own mastermind, First, I want to see like, what the turnout is going to be at the workshop, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah. So at this point, then, what does your normal week or month look like? Are you door knocking certain days yourself, or what are you curious how it's changed, if at all?
It has changed from when we met. I was doing it myself before, but I hired on two door knockers. But when they don't show up, or they have something going on, then I'm out there. Like I was out there this morning trying to stop an auction,
Yeah,
and the house was like about an hour and a half away. So like I'm still out there. I love being out there, but I'm not out there as much as I used to, before.
yeah. And then I know everyone's different, but I'm curious. I know you're known for some pretty large assignments. So whatever you're curious sharing, but what would you say is the best deal you've ever done door knocking?
So I don't go after the ones, like with low equity. I go
Mhm.
after the ones, that have more than 40% equity. So like a lot of my deals, are where, I'll make at least if I'm wholesaling it, I want to make at least 15 to $20,000. If I'm making anything less than that, I really don't even want to go after it unless if I'm already working on it, then I'll close on it so everyone gets paid, on the team. And then like if we're fixing and flipping, I want to make sure we're making at least 40 to $50,000 on the fix and flip. Otherwise, it's not worth your time. I mean, think about it. If you're, doing the renovations and then selling it, it can take anywhere from 4 to 6 months. Even like a minor renovation can take, at least 3 months. So like I always make sure there's enough equity. Otherwise, I don't even go after them. But like to go back to your question, like my biggest deal was in a town here called Lincolnshire, Illinois. It's like an A area where we made $130,000, and
Wow.
it was a fix and flip. It didn't need that much work. I think we finished it in about like 2.5 months, and that was also with multiple pain points. It was a pre-foreclosure, it was a probate where, the homeowner passed away. So then I reached out to her two kids, which I think a lot of people, like don't go after these kind of deals because they don't know who to contact. They don't know what to say. They don't even know, if like, if the heirs can sell the house. There's a lot of information out there, that people don't know. And
Yeah,
it was vacant. So it was, three pain points stacked.
yeah. I remember so after that interview, I it definitely was motivating because I remember one of the questions Pace asked you, and I was
Yeah.
on a Zoom with Jamil last week talking about this. But Pace asked you, he's like, "What kind of CRM do you use?" And you just held up your yellow notepad.
Mm-hmm.
So I still don't have a CRM, and I wholesale, multiple deals every month. But I just after
No.
seeing that, I was like, I don't need it.
You don't
Eventually, I
need
need
it.
to, but I never got one.
Eventually, but you don't need it right now. Like think about it.
No,
Like the more softwares you have, the more time and energy you're going to be spending on it, especially like, in the
yeah,
beginning. If you, I would say make your first million,
yeah,
like without a CRM. Like you can use a free Podio if you want, but if you're out there door knocking, a notebook works the best because you can take it with you and you can write notes on it. It's easier that way. I have my door knockers use a notebook as well.
yeah. I was telling someone this other day because they asked me, like, because I typically do four, five, six deals a month, and it's regularly. And they were asking me about CRM, and that's when I told them about you. And are you familiar with Six Sigma?
No, I'm not.
It's so the short version, the bell curve,
Uh-huh.
standard bell curve. So
Yeah.
it's the Six Sigma is the tail end of the bell curve,
Okay.
and it's anyway, it's like a business philosophy that made Toyota explode. And so the reason I get at it is I noticed when I didn't have a CRM, it always made me focus on the top three candidates. Like I didn't get distracted with other things. Like I
Right,
always knew who my hot leads were
right.
based on the interactions. But so at this point, I guess the better question is for anyone that is like they are newer and they're just itching to get their first deal or maybe their second or third, what is your best advice to them on something they can do now, like tomorrow morning, that they can take action?
I think it just depends, like everyone comes in at a different level, and everyone also has like some people may have a job, right? A full-time job. So then they don't have that much time to put into the business. So identify how much time you have first. If you don't have that much time, then, direct to seller may not be something for you, and then of course, depending on the experience, if you don't have that much experience, then you may want to, work with someone that does have experience, right? You always want to work with someone that has experience. Like what I see out there is like a lot of new people want to work, with other new people, who are their friends, but that's not a
Yeah.
good idea because both of you are going to drown. So I would say, like work with someone that's experienced, who's done, a few deals, and shadow them, like offer value to them, like you can go out and door knock for them or cold call for them, whatever it is that they need help with. But when you first start out, don't get any softwares, maybe just like a skip tracing software, depending on what strategy, you're working on, right? If you're doing direct to agent, you may not need any software because you're just calling agents. But if you're doing direct to seller, you can get free leads. Just go to the county websites, go after properties that are scheduled to go to auction, 30 or 60 days away, and start calling on them. And sometimes you don't even need a software. Like if you cannot afford, a $20 software, then just Google, the homeowner's names. Numbers come up when you Google the names. But then there's also like free skip tracing softwares out there as well, like True People Search. So you don't need that much when you first start out, because what happens is a lot of people, they try out all these new softwares and they just get so distracted and confused, and like they're busy figuring out the softwares than doing the deals. Like our minds cannot handle too much, at the same time. Think about it. Like when you're working at a job, most of the times you're doing the same thing, right? So you don't have to be that creative. But when you're, like an entrepreneur, when you're trying to, learn a new business, you have to be creative and you need
Mhm.
like a different kind of energy.
So let's see. I want to touch on something you said. So you go to the county 30 to 60 days before the auction, and then and then calling. Do you call, door knock? Do you recommend someone new to a certain rotation, or like calling's the base and then you do the extra stuff from there?
Yeah, so like manually skip trace, every like house that you get, from start with one county first and manually skip trace it, because what a lot of people do is they put a whole bunch of leads in the software and they're calling, on people that have passed. So if you don't manually skip trace, you're not going to know, what the overall picture is, right? Like what's going on with the house. So like try to stack the leads if you can. If the homeowner has passed away, then look for the two closest relatives, start calling them, and then you can also like find their obituary online. Just Google their name, like let's just say John Smith, Chicago, Illinois obituary, and if there's an obituary, it'll come up. There's not going to be an obituary all the time, depending on, like how, if the person was cremated in a government facility, then there isn't going to be an obituary, so it just depends. But yeah, if the homeowner has passed away, then start, calling the relatives, which a lot of people don't do, and these are the kind of leads that people are passing because they're just putting them in a dialer, right? And they keep adding more and more, but you don't have to keep adding more. Like look at the leads that you have and see what's going on with them, especially the pre-foreclosures, the properties that are scheduled to go to auction. Like I would say 30% of the times, homeowners have passed away.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good point. It's like don't do more of something that isn't working. You got to dig deeper to get the
Right.
results.
Right. That's what I did, because we had no money when we started. So like I had to, like be creative and like find, the best of the best deals out there. I had to just kind of figure it out, and I like just watched Brand Daniels videos, online, and just from that I figured it out, and just a lot of trial and error, just trying different things, like postponing auctions. I would just take the homeowners with me to the courthouses and see, like what options, we have to help the homeowner. That's how I figured out a lot of things.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. Yeah, you definitely, when I watched and heard a lot of what you said, I got, I went home and took a ton of action. So
You
it's cool
did?
being able to interview you. Yeah.
Yeah, that's good to hear.
So, um, let's see. I know you do the daily dial. Are there other resources, maybe someone that isn't in sub to you? Do you have like stuff on YouTube, Instagram, or anything like that that they can learn from you from?
Yeah, they can go on Instagram and Facebook. So Instagram, my ID is at Sharma underscore Nita Patel. And then, I'm sorry, at Sharma.Nita Patel. And then on Facebook, my name is under Nita Patel. And I have a lot of content that's out there.
Awesome. And then lastly, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be interested in your workshop. What's the best way to learn more on that one?
They can just reach out to me. I'll give my phone number. It's 630-489-8779. Or they can email me at nitapatel410@gmail.com, and then we'll be posting a lot of content on the workshop as well. So if they follow me, they'll see it.
Awesome. I appreciate you joining today.